Hello and welcome to Wait, It Gets Better, the improvisational storytelling podcast, where every week a few friends get together, we combine our ideas together into a Frankenstein-like monster. This monster is called our ideas. Frankenstein monster-like monster. This monster is our ideas, and it shambles forth off into the world, and hopefully you like it. I'm, of course, Levi.
I'm Reed.
And I'm Seth.
And we are here to tell you a story. I had Wise Old Woman. What did you guys have?
Author.
I had Antihero.
Well, I feel like Reed needs to go first.
Okay, well, Adrian Connor is a traveling journalist looking for the epic story that will crown his career. And he attempts to insinuate himself into situations to stir up drama. He urging prospective heroes into action and then blowing up his exploits to sound like more fabulous than they are. And he enjoys prodding the villain or criminal element into wrath by spreading rumors and blaming it on other people and then publicizing their reactions and portraying their deeds to be, more sinister than they are. Now, this setting could be, like the Wild West for the audience back east, or maybe the Outer Rim planets playing to the audience in the more civilized core worlds. It could work for a number of settings, but
Smart.
Here's the guy. He's insinuating himself into the story to kind of make it more fun.
And just so we're clear, this is the guy who is writing the story that we're about to make.
Right.
Okay. Was that it?
Yep.
Okay. I thought you were gearing up towards saying something. Great. So we got kind of a pompous, kind of a journalist, kind of a I want to be recognized kind of guy.
Yeah, and he wants to make the really big story.
Right. Has this guy already won his Pulitzer Prize?
No.
Or no?
No, he's got some draw. He is kind of rag journalism. I mean, he sends these, I don't know the word, kind of spectacular, kind of
tabloid
sensationalist.
journalism.
He's a sensationalist. That's what he is. He doesn't appeal to the high literature types.
Gotcha.
And depending on it could be video, it could be recorded, it could be written word.
Right. Okay. Cool. Seth, you want to go next?
Sure. Was it Dane Mildred Tanner is a private eye, and he has a particular ability that suits him well for some things. It'd be a lot like, and I know they've done it in a lot of different things, but it'd be like the Groundhog Day, where he will relive certain either days or parts of days or just time periods, and not like it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of times. By now, he's kind of got the niche of what it is, and it kind of plays into what he does. Sometimes he'll just get these little instances where he'll just replay through or relive through a certain period of time. He's conscious of it, and basically what he's found is that there's something that he missed that he needed to know, and so he's reliving through it for a bit of information or some color of a car or someone that went into a building somewhere or something that happened that perhaps he missed the first time, a bit of information. He'll get them randomly throughout different times, and they might seemingly mean nothing, but more often than not they seem to play themselves into future cases he ends up getting.
Right.
But a lot of times, once he's, let's say, signed off on taking a case, he'll get a lot of these, and those ones will be particularly related to the case that he's currently on. He doesn't really let on that that's what he has. 2 or 3 times he's had to kind of close up shop and relocate because certain people that might wish to abuse said power have tried to track him down. So he's fairly reluctant to, let's say, the whims of people using him for what they know he can do. Aside from just seemingly being a fairly intelligent and observant private detective that seems to know a lot of details and insight that you wouldn't expect him to have. So he doesn't, and also with it too, because early on he would have tried this and it doesn't work. He kind of realized that he could do that. And so he'd pay attention to like, okay, let's say the stock market's going to jump tomorrow. So he'd, or like a horse race or something. Okay, that horse is going to win or whatever. He sees that horse is going to win. So he goes back and he bets on that horse and it'll lose. And then if he tries to do the opposite, it'll do the opposite. So basically he can't use it for his selfish gain.
Yeah.
It'll always go the awry way of something that he's not expecting. Or like then if he goes and double bet, let's say like on a horse race and goes and double bets on, all of them, like something will happen and like the derby will burn down and everything will be for naught. So he's kind of given up trying to use, let's say, any of that for any personal gain.
Right.
How did he first notice how to tap into this?
I think, he was just going along and kind of like a Groundhog Day kind of thing. And he had a bout where, like he'd wake up and then he'd kind of like a deja vu. It's like, oh, okay, I just did this. And then he'd kind of go through like an afternoon or something and just kind of realize, kind of like a Groundhog Day, realizing that he was reliving a certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then not too much to the point that it was, the point that he, like in, trying to bring a toaster into the bathtub or anything like that. But then quickly after realizing that some bit of information that he knew he would have missed the first time that he needed shortly after he had it, that he needed to recall, that was something that he picked up like the second or third time going through it.
Right.
So I would say he was kind of already predisposed to be aware of paying attention to things. And so kind of having this already lends itself well to something maybe he was already predisposed to doing.
Okay. And he's a private eye now. Is that what kind of got him into being a private eye, or was he a private eye before this started to happen?
I would say that eventually this drew him into being this way, partly because that would lend the use, let's say, easily enough for, say, solving something, and kind of so that he was on his own and couldn't necessarily just be, a puppet on a string for some, police chief or something like that in some kind of weird, military psych ward where they give people, like LSD and stuff to see if they can stare at goats long enough and kill them and stuff like that. So he keeps it kind of hidden, but kind of runs his own show and doesn't really like people, swooping into his world to try to then make him do some kind of thing of grandeur. He just kind of...
Right.
And the world at large just kind of goes along, and he isn't reliving the same day over and over. He'll just relive the same day enough times to get the information he needs and then moves on.
Right. And sometimes he doesn't always know what it is. It's kind of like a thing that happens that then he realizes is almost like, if you could say, like a Ka or fate or however, they like to do it. You want to imagine it kind of says, there's something you missed that you need for later. And he'll go and then he'll like just pay attention. Okay, these are the people going into that building. And he'll go through a lot of times, not necessarily changing his course of direction. Most of what he needs to see is already within the field of what it was he was doing. Sometimes he'll stray from, the set kind of path that he takes, but very rarely will he need to do that to get more than what he needs to observably see.
Yeah.
And as it would seem, if that's the case, he always seems to be in the right place at the right time to see what it is he needs to see or hear. Or
does he think that there is like a higher power? Because if he's always in the right place at the right time, there's got to be some reason, or is he pretty much agnostic when it comes to that? Like there is something, or is he kind of, there isn't anything, this is just like a weird freak thing?
Maybe a little bit agnostic, but maybe kind of like that, I don't know, like maybe he feels like he's just being kind of poked fun at by whatever else is out there.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's like a fervently religious man, but it's like, whatever's up there must be toying with me to, send me back through the same little bit over and over. It just kind of becomes like a dull monotony of his life, where he's then kind of going back through and then writing these things down and then kind of continuing with his life, and almost seeming like almost like you'd have in some things where like the difference between like an elf or a human or something that has like a long period of life, they probably lull into like an apathetic kind of laziness.
Yeah.
Because it seems like, where we've lived 1 year, he's probably lived, really from the day to day to day, 150 years, and has had to kind of see all that. So it just becomes like a kind of a mundane, like frustration, but an inevitable thing he has to kind of live with.
Right. I think I know how he got that thing. It has to do with the
Okay.
wise old woman.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay.
The wise old woman, her name is Camille. She looks like early 50s, average height, dark hair, streaked with gray. She doesn't work anywhere. She's in memory care. So she's in a hospital, basically, in memory care. But she always wants people to do things for her. She's always asking people if you wouldn't mind doing this thing for me. And most of the time she doesn't remember why, and most of the time she gets ignored because that's kind of how she presented when she showed up a couple of years ago. She didn't remember who she was and she was asking people to do things for her. The truth about her, what did I say her name was? I had like a couple of names. Camille. The truth about her is that she is the last of the great stars, the last of the great gods, the last of the great guardians. Time immemorial, guardians were dispersed throughout the earth, throughout the universe, the galaxy, the known everywhere. And there were billions and billions and billions of them. And they tended their solar systems, kind of like shepherds, allowing certain rocks to come in, not allowing other rocks to come in, stopping certain rocks from coming in, allowing life to evolve on certain planets, and just kind of shepherds. And there was one of them for each of the solar systems. And, how were they made? What a great question. How was anything made? Were they appointed to this position? Were they born into this position? When the universe was made, were they put here? Did a god make them? What lies beyond death? No one knows. But what we do know is that she basically watched through the billions of years while all of her siblings and family died. She heard a rumor of another star that had landed on this planet. So, and I'm referencing one of our earlier stories, by the way, I'm connecting those things together. So she decided to come to this planet. And what I'm going to say now is that the author, what's his name again?
Adrian
Connor feels like he's tracked down a real life alien in this psychiatric ward. I think that memory care. I don't know if that's what memory care is, but in this hospital, he feels like he's tracked down and he's found her, and he is going to he says, I want to tell your story. And she says, okay, you can tell my story as long as you do something for me. As long as because that's what she's always been wanting, because what she's wanting to do is she needs to basically plant her seed. She needs to propagate her life. She needs to leave the planet and go into the sun. And the problem is that she's been trying to get humans to help her for all of humanity. And so she keeps giving parts of herself to them, right? Carving off parts of power and giving it to them in order to help her, but they always keep failing. She thought Genghis Khan was going to help her, but he just ended up using the power she gave him to, to try and conquer the world. She spoke with Solomon to try and get his help, but, he was concerned with something else. He didn't need her power. He had some other power. She spoke with kings and dictators and philosophers, trying to not convince someone, but to get someone to accept who she was. But the problem now is that it's been about 100 years and she's given so much of herself since the last time she gave some of herself away. She's given so much of herself away that she's lost herself. And so now she is just kind of sitting in this place. She doesn't need to eat the food they give her. She'll be alive for another 100 billion years, but wants someone to do something for her. And she keeps asking, will you do this? Will you do something for me? And everyone is kind of like, of course, Camille, no problem, and part of her brain is like, no, I need someone to do something for me. And so finally the author finds her and is willing to bring her something, does something for her for the first time time, that she's asked in 20 years, and it like awakes a part of her brain. And then he does something else, and he does something else. And slowly he starts to give back to her that power because she's just been giving it away. She's been doing for other people. Anyways, she tells him the story of about 100 years ago when she knew this private eye, and she gave something to this private eye, and that's like how he got this ability, or seeming ability, kind of in uncontrollable, but still some sort of ability. And that's the story that we're writing.
Cool.
What do you think about that, Seth? Did I ruin your story element?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Great. So that's kind of
when you first said that, I remember the star thing from another episode. I can't remember which one it is, so I don't know if you can remember that. We can plug it in here.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I don't remember it. It was definitely we've been doing this for a couple of years now.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, it feels oh buddy, it feels like it. So do we want to just say that's it for this episode this time? Do you guys want to add anything else? You think that would be helpful? What do you guys think?
How long have we been going out of here? I mean, that's a pretty good.
I think we're sitting at like 20 minutes, which would be kind of a what's it called?
A preview.
Yeah, kind of a short one is what I mean to say.
Yeah. I think that sets it up. I have a few kind of back burner ideas that I think just need a different element to bring them into the story. So
yeah. Episode 37, Friends with a Star, published April 15th, 2020, so a couple of years ago. So we will come back and pick this story up, really pick it up. I think we laid good groundwork here to say, how the story's going to be written. I want to continue to call back to the author, especially because I think that one was really good, and I also really like. God, I think we're gonna do a great job on this one. But if you like this episode, this is kind of like a setting up episode. Hopefully, this one will go a couple of them because this is 20 minutes is not that long. But if you like this episode, liked our kind of beginnings of this story, feel free to give me a call. You can't call me though. Feel free to send me an email at WaititgetsbetterCast@gmail.com or to @ me on Twitter at @getsbettercast. If you didn't like this, if you thought maybe we should have done more to the story, maybe we should have drawn 2 story elements and done it that way, I would say, just send me an email, at WaititgetsbetterCast@gmail.com. And also just wait, because it gets better.